Hello and welcome to another edition of Convict Inc. I'm your host, Robert Rosso. I did this video earlier and I made a couple mistakes, so I figured I better do it correctly. If you have not subscribed to this channel, please do so. If you like this video, please push like and share with your families, friends, neighbors, etc. Not long ago, I did a video about popping Carmine Persico's pimple on his back. This is kind of in line with that, although it wasn't as gnarly as the pimple, but, well, it actually was a little more serious. This has to do with cutting cancer out of a friend's neck. In the year 2000, at the United States Penitentiary in Leavenworth, Kansas, I used to frequent the special housing unit, SHU or hole. Was in trouble a lot. The SHU I became a veteran of the SHU. And when you get used to going to the SHU, you know all the essentials that you need that you can't get. For example, I used to have a lot of legal work because of my case. So I used to hide stuff in my legal property, my trial transcripts, my discovery. And what I would do is I would put like a mirror, like a plastic mirror, which is, oh man, when you're in the hole, you really want a mirror. Razor blades, tweezers, fingernail clippers, those are essentials. If you have that stuff in the hole, it makes your time so much easier. It's not to say you can't get fingernail clippers when you're in the SHU, you can. But everybody on the range uses them. That gets kind of nasty. It's really nice to have your own. Tweezers, sometimes sewing needle and thread, it just depends. Stamps were currency, so I would smuggle stamps in. And the way I would do it is I'd open up my transcripts, they're about that thick, I'd pull open in the middle of them, and I would tape either fingernail clippers or whatever on different pages. One time I think it was caught out of all the times I went, and when they got caught, all they did was they wouldn't give me that particular set of transcripts or legal work. But almost always I got it. And the way it works is this. Let's say you get locked up and go to the SHU. Once you go to the SHU, your property gets either packed out in your unit by an officer or a friend, or sometimes I was able, if I knew I was going to the hole for like a dirty urine, I was able to pack up all my stuff, put it in army green duffel bags, and the cop would just get it, give it to the property officer who comes around the unit, the SHU property officer, and it would go to the SHU. In the SHU, they had their own property officer. His job is to go through the stuff, give inmates in the SHU what they needed. Because I always had a pending legal case, every time I went, they knew I was going to get my legal work. Well, again, all the stuff I needed was in that legal work, the fingernail clippers and all that stuff. Anyway, so one time I was in the SHU with one of my bros, Kenny, and I say bros, he was a shot caller for the Dirty White Boys. I was not patched up yet, but I was definitely running with him. And we were in cell A220, which is the top tier of A range, all the way in the back. At that time, I was also getting a prescription of gabapentin or Neurontin, and the way it worked back then was you can take them as needed. So I said that I needed, 120 every couple of days. That meant that every 2 or 3 days I can put in an order and my prescription would get filled. And that happened for more than a year. So we would take, like I said before, anywhere from 8 to 15 Neurontin or gabapentin and just get, geeked out of our mind. Plus we drink alcohol and sometimes heroin. A lot of times heroin in the SHU. Anyway, on this specific night, me and Kenny were drinking for sure, and I believe taking Neurontin or gabapentin. So what we usually did, besides tell stories or lies or whatever, we used to read the paper a lot. Kenny was a big crossword puzzle guy. I got the USA Today. Kenny got, I think, the New York Times. He was really good at crossword puzzles. So we're sitting in the SHU, bored, talking, and all of a sudden Kenny says, "Hey, Cracker," he said, "Cracker, like, can you get this off my neck?" On his neck was this, it looked like the size of a half of pencil eraser. Now, It was this black thing. I used to call it his mini-me. And it was, like I said, solid black. Black as his shirt. When I looked at it, I said, Kenny, you know, that could be cancerous. You can't, I'm not going to cut that off your neck. He wanted me to cut it off his neck. He's like, fuck that shit. And I'm just like, no, bro, listen, that's serious. You know, when I was 13, I had a growth on my neck, almost similar to that. It was grayish. They thought it was cancer. It was not. Anyway, sure enough, so I'm, you know, okay, cool. You want me to cut something off your neck? You know, I'm down. So I take a razor blade and I sliced it right off. Now, I had tweezers. With the tweezers, I poked them into the hole in his neck. He was feeling no pain. He was drunk and high at the time. And I pushed him down, and I had not the square ends, but not the blunt ends, I guess they call it, what's round. Pushed it in, and I pulled some black stuff, like that much. As much as was showing on his neck, I pulled out, followed by green and yellow and all kinds of red after that. He had, when I was done, he literally had a hole in his neck that you can put like a fingernail down in. So again, I said, Kenny, you know, this is a serious issue. This could be cancer, bro. He's like, screw it. And he had one more little growth on the other side of his neck, on the back. And that was just literally getting the razor blade and cutting it off. Kenny was in the SHU at the time for assault on an officer, throwing away a syringe. So what happened was a cop came to the door. There was 3 guys in a cell. Cop opens the door. They're shooting dope. They threw the syringe and the dope away. One of them blocked the cop. They said they assaulted an officer. That was the second time Kenny went to the hole for the exact same thing. And he'd already made parole. He was under the old law. The first time they gave him an 18-month set-off. This was the second time. And again, they gave him an 18-month set-off. Or they were about to. On the day he was supposed to go to the DHO, or disciplinary hearing officer, it's kind of like a one-man kangaroo court to hear your shots, they call them in the feds, or disciplinaries or infractions. It just so happens that an AW by the name of Beasy, AW Beasy, was bringing guys from their cells to the disciplinary officer. We always tried to keep what we refer to as handcuff keys or handcuff slips on us. Every time we left, we would be taken out of the cell. And the reason is there's enemies out there. If you're on the cell, if you're walking down the tier in the SHU and you got your hands cuffed behind your back, some UFO, some crazy person, or an enemy of the gang, or just some random dude can take off and hit you. People used to slip their handcuffs. And the way it works is if you have a pin, you know the little metal clip on a pin, like a regular writing pin? Sometimes they're flat, sometimes they have a little mark. You smash those down, and those can go in between the teeth of the handcuff key. Or sometimes people actually had real handcuff keys. But let's just say you had a handcuff slip. When Beasy took him out of the cell, Kenny had his handcuff slip, and there was somebody walking as he was walking Kenny to the DHO. He pulled Kenny's arm, and out of his hand fell his handcuff slip. Well, Beasy threw a fit. According to Beasy, Kenny was going to assault him. That's why he had the slip on him. Not true, but nevertheless, Kenny was actually sent to Marion, which was a lockdown control unit at the time, similar to ADX now, for that handcuff slip. So I cut his neck. I mean, I cut the black stuff out of his neck. You know, within a couple weeks that happened, and he was transferred out of there. I mean, quick. They got him there quick. Plus, like I said, he was a shot caller of the Dirty White Boys. He was arrogant, talked a lot of shit to staff, so they wanted him gone. Well, about a year went by, maybe a little bit more, and we get word that Kenny was going to the Federal Medical Center and in Missouri, Springfield, Missouri, and for cancer treatments. Sure enough, those things I cut off his neck were cancerous. They were skin cancer. He had more, but that, I cut it out of his neck. Of course, that was terrible to do, and it spread. He went through treatment. He went through chemo, and luckily, the guy did not die. Kenny did get released from prison. I have not heard anything from him or about him since like 2008. Well, I heard a guy that knew him in 2010, and he was, to this day, he's out, was doing good. I heard he married a girl with a lot of money and was doing fine. But the point of this is, If you have any marks on you, especially some skin tags, I guess they call it, or some bumps or something that looks not normal, black or grayish or even white on your neck, don't ever cut those off your neck. They say never cut moles. To be honest, I've cut moles off the back of my head because I shave it with I used to shave it, especially in the prison, with the razor, and I'd cut the mole. And I just started cutting those moles off of my head. I have had them checked, but like I said, Kenny did have cancer that were cancerous, and he could have lost his life over that. Well, this is a short video. I redid it because I said handcuff key in the first one and not handcuff slip. And now I just picked up my wife, and there she is. Take care.